Hundreds of officers in riot gear descended on an anti-war encampment on the UCLA campus this morning, and the UN says tons of undetonated bombs scattered across Gaza pose a threat as ceasefire talks continue. Good morning, I'm Janine Herbst from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. At the UCLA campus in Los Angeles, police are using flashbangs as they dismantle barricades and clear out the protester encampment against Israel's war in Gaza. Several people have been detained, this after police told them to leave or face arrest. Some schools around the country have used police to clear encampments, and more than 1,000 have been arrested. At Columbia University in New York, the school has asked police to remain on campus for at least 2 weeks after they cleared a building protesters had taken over. NPR's Martin Costi has more.
The police are definitely sounding more willing to get into the fray now. The NYPD put out sort of a triumphant video after the operation at Columbia with kind of dramatic music. And it ends with this stark warning for protesters. In the video there, they say, if protesters try this kind of thing again, they will be extracted and taken to jail.
NPR's Martin Costi reporting. Police involvement varies around the country depending on when and if schools call them in. Negotiations continue today between Israel and Hamas, through their intermediaries, over a ceasefire proposal that could allow some Palestinians to return to their homes in the northern Gaza Strip. But the United Nations is warning about the danger of unexploded ordnance if and when that happens. NPR's Laurent has more from Tel Aviv.
The UN says 7,500 tons of unexploded ordnance may be scattered across the Gaza Strip, and that risk of injury is now at its, quote, most dangerous stage. Experts say about 10% of explosives do not detonate initially. UN teams have found 1,000-pound bombs unexploded at Gaza's main intersections and inside schools. Palestinian officials say smaller munitions have been hidden in booby-trapped canned goods, and that a 14-year-old boy had his limbs amputated when one of them went off. Without enough bomb disposal equipment, the UN and NGOs are mapping danger spots and trying to alert residents through leaflets and on social media. Lauren Freyer, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
Another hearing will be held this morning on additional sanctions against former President Donald Trump for allegedly violating the judge's gag order in his hush money trial, preventing him from criticizing witnesses or jurors. Prosecutors are seeking $4,000. That's on top of a $9,000 fine already imposed this week in a separate gag order violation. President Biden heads to North Carolina today, where he will tout the strong economy while visiting Wilmington. But first, he will stop in Charlotte to meet with the families of 4 law enforcement officers shot to death Monday while serving a warrant. That meeting is expected to take place behind closed doors to respect the privacy of grieving family members. Meanwhile, Democratic voters are increasingly supportive of abortion rights and increasingly motivated by the issue. That's according to a new report from the Public Religion Research Institute. NPR's Sarah McCammon reports those findings align with the results of election exit polls since the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade almost 2 years ago.
A majority of voters, 64%, say they support legal access to abortion in most or all cases. Public Religion Research Institute CEO Melissa Deckman says a majority support abortion access even in many states where the procedure is heavily restricted.
So the policies that are being enacted in many red state legislatures where Republicans control majorities are clearly out of step with what the citizens in those states would like to see.
The poll found that Democrats say they're increasingly motivated by the abortion issue. That's especially true for women and younger voters, 2 groups who lean toward the Democratic Party. Sarah McCammon, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR News.